What's good, everybody? It's Salty here. I got another batch of malicious compliance today. Let's jump in. Won't accept 2-week notice? Okay, bye. I used to work in the deli department in a popular chain of grocery stores. We had the most incompetent manager, Clueless Potato, who was also our union rep, so you can't complain or get rid of her. I have no idea if this is even allowed, but this clueless fart has somehow accomplished this and little else. For example, we would have a Tuesday special that left us slammed to the point where people were upset with the wait times and how quickly it sold out. She would be scheduled for the time the special was happening and take her lunch immediately once people started pouring in, saying, "I can't handle this today," leaving me to serve 3 counters, fish, cold cuts, and hot food, with the crowd demanding our lunch special. So I learned to get creative with my annoyance in many ways, but I'll just post the icing on the proverbial cake. 3 of us were tired of her antics and planned to all quit within the same week. 2 days apart, after Sam, our awesome assistant manager, announced he was getting transferred to a different store, closer to home, at his request. The first person hands in her 2-week notice, no problem. Second person, let's call him Tim, goes 2 days later and comes by to see me at the counter. I was scheduled to work with Clueless Potato for another Tuesday special. Me, "Hey, did you give your notice yet?" Tim, "She refused it." "What? She can't do that." She said, "I don't have time for this," and shut the door on me. I stew for a few moments before a sudden eureka hits me. "Well then, I guess I'll just quit right now." Tim laughs. "That would be funny. I don't think she's even worked a Tuesday special." She said she doesn't have time for any notice, so I'm leaving. I packed up my things and headed to the door to leave with Tim. He wasn't scheduled to work that day when Clueless Potato runs up, fastest I've ever seen her move, and stops us. "Where are you going? There's a lineup waiting for their food," puffing and angry. I quit. Manager goes beet red. "You have to give me notice." That's weird because Tim just said you don't have time for that. Manager looks at Tim, who nods casually, causing her face to turn a bold combination of purple and red. "You still need to give me notice." That's BS, but here's your notice. I quit and I'm leaving now. Goodbye, Clueless Potato. I heard from Sam that she called everyone at the last minute to try to get someone to do the whole Tuesday special, and she ended up dealing with that madness herself for a change. For anyone thinking, this poor lady probably is overstressed with taking care of a huge multi-counter department. We, of course, tried the empathetic approach where we all went out of our way to help her deal with her biggest stresses, ordering and paperwork. The assistant manager, Sam, stayed an average of 20 extra hours each week to try and take care of all the orders and paperwork so she could stay in the department and do the less stressful work that we needed help with. She instead took that opportunity to use Sam as a scapegoat for all her problems. She started to blame him for slacking on paperwork and never doing orders. She started to complain to the assistant store manager, and Sam was starting to get written up for not doing Clueless Potato's job. I was working an entire 8-hour shift with her where she complained she had to stay in the office and do all the paperwork that Sam had already finished, and I was blasted all day with Candy Crush notifications asking for lives from her Facebook account. So I don't really believe she actually does any work in her office anymore. Come on, don't we all just want to sit in the air-conditioned office and play Candy Crush all day while everybody else does all the work? I wouldn't have cared either. I would have just left. Police tell us to stop running red lights. Fine, we'll just extend how long it stays green. I live in a subdivision connected to a major road. The road out of the subdivision has a traffic light. In the morning, nearly everybody needs to turn left for work. Even if you want to turn right, you are simply stuck because there isn't enough room for more than one car. To compound the problem, the traffic light is green for no more than 5 seconds. We may get 4 to 5 cars out legally, then you have to wait another 3 to 4 minutes before the light switches. As you can imagine, this causes people to run the light, swerve around somebody they thought should have gone, etc. It's a grab bag of idiots in cars, myself included. If you roll up to the light and see that you are 15 cars back, you know you've just added 10 minutes to your commute simply trying to get out of your subdivision. Well, because of all of our reckless driving behavior, the police communicated via our homeowners association that we needed to knock it off. They had a police car parked near our area every morning for a week to keep us on our best behavior. Our board tried to work with the city to lengthen the light, but to no avail. That's when a hero emerged. We get a random email to the HOA distribution list from an anonymous person. They laid out our plan for malicious compliance. There's a pedestrian crosswalk light at the before-mentioned intersection that basically goes unused. In my 10 years living there, I've never seen it used. There just simply isn't any pedestrian traffic. The Subdivision hero devised a plan on how to use the crosswalk to our advantage. Basically, one person in their car simply needs to walk over and hit the push button to cross and run back to their car. When the light switches, we now get 30-ish seconds to alleviate our traffic jam. Everybody is joining in, and it's hilarious. My oldest daughter got to do it the other day, and other cars in the line were rolling down their windows and cheering her on. It's possibly the best neighborhood bonding experience possible. I'm sure our longer lights are screwing up something further down the line, but none of us really care. We're now on our best behavior since we have about 5 times longer to get through the light. Yep, this works on any light with a crosswalk button. Sometimes the lights get stuck here, so I occasionally do that as well. It's a pretty common thing here in the States. You want to illegally use a resident's parking space? Okay. First time posting with English not being my first language. Sorry in advance for any mistakes. A bit of background. As a male in my country, Austria, when you finish your compulsory education, you have to complete what is known as a Präsenzdienst, which basically means either joining the army for 6 months or doing Zivildienst. Compulsory social service is the best translation I can come up with. The social service might include working for the Red Cross, caring for the elderly or mentally disabled people, basically doing something that benefits society. Having met some people who work in the army, I bravely decided to do the Zivildienst and was allocated to a hostel for foreign students. It is important to note that Zivis, as people in these roles are called, don't make a lot of money. Some of my friends earned about €330 a month. I was relatively lucky, making about €600 per month, which in my country with such a high cost of living is laughable. As a result, I wasn't exactly motivated to go above and beyond the call of duty and was pretty miserable, working my ass off for 10 to 12 hours a day. The hostel was located right next to a school that held this big event every year where they showed potential new students the grounds, gave them a bit of taste of life in their hostels. This, of course, always attracted a lot of people with a lot of cars in a town that's not exactly overflowing with parking spaces. The hostel had its own parking spaces, one for each room, with signs stating that the lot was private property and illegally parked cars would be towed without warning. On the day of the event, we even put up an extra large sign, stating the same thing, so we did everything we could to stop people from making mistakes. The day the event rolls around, I was told to make sure that no non-residents parked in our lot. I was a bit annoyed by this, as that meant leaving the heated building to tell already irritated and more often than not entitled parents to learn how to read signs and please move their cars off of our lot. To make sure they do, I was legally allowed to clamp any illegally parked car and have it towed. Most people cleared off and were apologetic. Others tried to argue with my already pissed off self until I threatened them with a clamp. Everything was going okay until a black S-Class Mercedes, with plates from a town more than 500 kilometers away, made its way onto our lot and parked right in front of my office window. Out got Mr. Mercedes, or Mr. M, as well as his trophy wife and their 2 seriously obese sons. I thought to myself, oh boy, this is gonna be fun, and went outside to catch them before they left the property. The conversation went a little something like this. Excuse me, you can't park here. This is a private parking lot and I'm going to have to ask you to park elsewhere. What and who the f*** are you to tell me what to do? I'm just a ZV, and I'm not telling you what to do. I'm asking you to obey the law. Haha, a ZV? What the f*** are you gonna do? Run to someone who actually matters to see what he does? Get lost, loser. His boys and his wife started laughing at this point. If you don't move your car, I could— Shut the f*** up. Nobody cares what you have to say. Do whatever you want to, you useless waste of money. Okay, tough guy, have it your way. They went off toward the school. I went inside and got the clamp, clamped his wheel, and had him towed. It is important to note that we were partners with a towing service that had their headquarters about 100 kilometers away. They came back about 2 hours later, just as I had handed over the keys to my colleague. I walked out to my own car and from a distance could see Mr. M's eyes go wide and his head turning red. He immediately ran up to me and started screaming at me about where his car had gone. Where the f*** is my car, you asshole? I had parked it right here and now it's gone. Tell me what you have done with it, you little sh**. Nice to see you again too. I had it towed, which I would have warned you about had you not been such an asshole. What? How dare you? You can't just tow people's cars like this. I will sue the ever-loving shit out of you. You're right, I can't just have people's cars towed, but I have asked you to leave politely, and there are signs at every entrance telling you what will happen if you park here as a non-resident. What I did was perfectly within the law. Also, weren't you the one that told me to do what I wanted? That doesn't matter. Where the hell were we supposed to park? How the hell are we supposed to get home to town XYZ? Don't know, don't care. You can call our towing partners. Their number is on the no parking signs. If that doesn't satisfy you, you're gonna have to find someone that actually matters. I then went home after asking him repeatedly to step away from me, having to threaten him with calling the police. The next day, our towing partner called me to tell me about this absolute asshole with the Mercedes they had towed the day before. He had to pay about €300 in towing fees, a €600 fine for trespassing onto our property, as well as a €300 taxi fare. I know this won't have hurt him financially, but it was satisfying nonetheless. You're gonna have to find someone that actually matters. Oh, that's savage. I can just see this dude's head turning multiple shades of colors. Alright everybody, that's gonna do it for this episode. I really hope you enjoyed this one. Hit me with some feedback in the comments and we'll see you all in the next video. Peace.